I wanna shoot, baby.
Kind of lonesome back here.
Little help here.
Excuse me.
Woo! Dopinder.
Pool. Dead.
Why the fancy red suit, Mr. Poole?
Oh, that's because it's Christmas Day, Dopinder.
And I'm after someone on my naughty list.
You're probably thinking this was a superhero movie, but that guy in the suit just turned that other guy into a kebab. Surprise, this is a different kind of superhero story.
To tell it right, we gotta take you back before I squeezed into red spandex.
It's time for Movie Month. It is my third annual Movie Month, in which I will be watching 30 movies in 30 days, and I'll either hate them or give them praise.
Oh, hello, Internet. This is your pal Mike from the town of Methuen, podcasting in his bathroom, holding a cold can of Schweppes orange sparkling seltzer water. Schweppes! It is delicious. Since 1783. Now that, my friends, is an inside joke to probably one person who may or may not be listening to this from the country of Canada. And in relation to Canada, that's where our friend Ryan Reynolds is from. Ryan Reynolds, you say? The star of tonight's movie for Fans Not Experts Movie Month, Deadpool. Now, as I said, I'm podcasting from in my bathroom, talking into my phone. Yesterday, you got the silky smooth NPR voice as I talked into my microphone. Today, not so much. It's Sunday night. I really don't want to be loud, keep my wife up because we all have to get up for work tomorrow. But I'm keeping with keeping the train rolling and trying to keep the streak going of doing a podcast every day for 30 days, which I know is impossible. But I'm not going to stop on the 5th day, which is today, June 5th, 2016. And I want to talk about, of course, the movie Deadpool. Here's what I know about it going in. Well, here's what I know about it early. I know Deadpool is a comic book character. I know he's known as the Merc with the mouth. I know he's a violent guy who's also very loud and likes to talk and joke constantly. My first real exposure to him was in seeing, was it last year or the year before? I watched Wolverine Origins, and Ryan Reynolds was in it, playing the character of Wade Wilson. And then they sewed his mouth shut and completely screwed the character. So for years, Ryan Reynolds wanted to take that character and make his own movie with it, except he wanted to do it right. I've known that he wanted to do this for a long time, and it seemed like finally, you read about it, Ryan Reynolds is finally going to get the movie made. He's finally going to get the movie made. He's finally going to get the movie made. You heard about this for a while. Then you hear he's shooting for an R rated. He doesn't want to get the movie made unless it's R. And you finally hear Deadpool's going to be made. It's going to be a superhero comic book movie. It's going to be rated R. And I remember thinking, that's great. He's going to get it made. And you start seeing all this promotion, and you see Deadpool. Ryan Reynolds in the Deadpool suit, cracking wise and all these commercials, and the trailer makes it look like fun, but then you see it's rated R. And my concern, like I had anything to do with anything, my thinking was, looks all cool, but people don't really know who Deadpool is. People know who the Marvel characters are now, and this isn't officially a Marvel movie. It's not a Marvel Studios movie, at least, So I'm thinking it's a rated R movie it's a comic book movie, but, people may not, gravitate towards it as much as they would, maybe an X-Men or any of the other Marvel movies. So I was a little concerned that, this was kind of Ryan Reynolds' dream project, and what if it kind of comes and goes and nothing comes of it? And I remember hearing that, this is the opening weekend for Deadpool, and I'm just totally taking my time as I type in Box Office Mojo Deadpool so I could look it up. And anyway, the movie cost about $58 million to make, so it wasn't. That sounds like a lot of money, $58 million, and it is a lot of money, but it's not a lot in a superhero movie. So it was is it a Sony Pictures or something? I don't know exactly. Um, but it's not it's the same people who brought you. I forget what the hell the name of the movie was. They said at the beginning. Um, but it was a Marvel owned property. And the movie made $362 million in the United States alone, and almost over $772 million worldwide. So $58 million movie basically makes 5 times what it's worth in the United States alone, and more than that in the rest of the world, for a total of $772 million. And I I don't know why, but I was so happy for Ryan Reynolds. It's like, you gotta be happy for this guy who's probably who's lived more dreams than most most people, who's married to a beautiful actress, and your first thought is, God, I'm really happy for him. Good for him. As I'm sitting there, scratching my ass, looking on Box Office Mojo, but he got a bad rap with Green Lantern. I watched that movie a few years ago, and it was not a good movie, but it wasn't his fault by any means. I'd never say that it was just one of those movies that was overbloated and just took on way too much of the Green Lantern world in one shot, which is why I think the next time they do it, which they are going to be doing another Green Lantern movie, hopefully they do it right. But you never know with DC and Warner Brothers. But this time, Ryan Reynolds jumped over to the Marvel world, and this time he got to be Deadpool. And they even made jokes about that, about how they're going to make him a superhero, but don't put him in a green suit that's animated. This was very much a meta, fourth wall breaking, talk to the camera movie. And I'm pretty sure that's how the comic book is. I mean, he is the Merc with the mouth. I think he does talk to the reader and break the fourth wall a lot. So I was completely prepared for that, and completely prepared for just jokes upon jokes upon jokes, and that's what we got. I mean, his sidekick, or not his sidekick, but his kind of like his best friend, is T.J. Miller, who you know from such movies as Yogi Bear, and well, most people know him now from Silicon Valley. The guy's hilarious. Everything he says makes me laugh, and he was great in this too. But see, this is the problem. I'm sitting here in the bathroom, kind of staring at the wall, and trying to remember the movie that I literally just stopped watching 5 minutes ago. Just I've heard one person, I'll say his name, Brandon, my cousin, said, at some points it was a bit much. Listen, dude, there's no such thing as breaking the fourth wall too much. See, people out there, Brandon. I was trying to break the fourth wall and it didn't quite work. I guess podcasting there is no fourth wall. I'm actually talking to you, all 12 of you. Thank you, by the way. I assume you guys all get together for meetings and listen to the podcast. This is what happens when you do not prepare and you just ramble. But hey, I mean, I've hit over 8 minutes, and that's of course with all the bumpers and the music at the beginning. I didn't think it was too much. I thought this was the comic book, and it's funny because once he put it into my head that it's too much, I'm thinking, is this too much? Is this too much? I'm very easily I'm very easily persuaded, and I'm also am very good at talking English language. I thought about it. I thought, is this too much? I just kicked a can of Schweppes across the bathroom. Oh my God. I thought about it. I said, is this too much? Is it overdoing it? Is it a little too cutesy for itself? And no, I didn't think it was, because I thought this is exactly what this movie needed. And if you haven't seen the movie, I'm not going to spoil. Well, I am going to spoil the ending, and not a major moment at the ending, but the ending after the credits. And this movie's been out for a while, so if you haven't seen it, stop listening to my podcast now. You already downloaded it, so it already counts. I don't care. The ending. Like the stinger after the credits. Totally a ripoff of the old Ferris Bueller, which was I think Ferris Bueller was the first time I've ever seen an after the credits moment. where Deadpool comes out in a robe and tells people it's over, go home. I wonder how many people just thought that was cute and funny and had no idea it was Ferris Bueller's Day Off. But I love that. But they also dropped that Cable is going to be in the next movie. I got to tell you something. I don't really know who that is. I've heard podcasts talk about it, including the Atomic Geeks. Another reference to some Canadian podcast. I'm pretty sure they talked about it. It's been a while, so I apologize if they didn't talk about it. Then it was some other Canadian podcast that talks about movies and geeky stuff. They're out there. I mean, there's a litany of them. Look, thank you for downloading this podcast. I can imagine right now that you're probably saying to yourself, what have I done? And why am I still listening? The truth is, I don't know. I don't even know why I'm still talking. I realize that I can talk a lot more than I should be talking. I can say a lot more than I have to say. It's like, I don't know, I'm trying to talk about a movie and I'm rambling and rambling. I'll just be short and sweet and kind of let you go on your way, on your open road with the magic at your fingers. Now I'm quoting Rush. Basically, this podcast is dedicated to Canada. Thank you, Canada. The movie was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. I like finally catching up to movies that all these people have been watching. And I feel like I should have seen this in the theaters. But once I missed it in the theaters, I'm not going to rent it until June. That's pretty much what happens. That's why I'm finally seeing all these movies that I've never seen before. That's what makes it fun. I loved how they had these little references to the X-Men. And I like that they brought in 2 X-Men, and that's all we could afford. And they reference Patrick Stewart and the younger Charles Xavier, who I cannot remember his name for the life of me. They basically, a lot of fourth wall breaking stuff with movies and being in a movie and that you're actually in a movie, blah, 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 blah. So, that's day 5. That's Deadpool. And I even enjoyed how they give him the name. I love how they went from, they gave him the name of Captain Deadpool for like 1 second. I thought that was really fun. The whole thing was fun. The whole thing was just fun, over the top. At one point, he's living with a blind woman, and when he puts his hand, his little tiny hand that's being regenerated, and he goes to rub her cheek, I lost it for a second there. That was so creepy and funny at the same time. Look, if you haven't seen Deadpool, please rent it. It is very violent. It is very rated R. It is extremely, the language is extreme. The violence is extreme. It's over the top. It's out there, but it's a lot of fun. And if you like, oh my God, I'm falling asleep before your eyes. If you like comic book movies, you never know. They even make a joke or a comment about someday we'll have you in the X-Men. I don't think that'll ever happen, but there will be more Deadpool. I'm excited to see it, and that's really all I have to say. I didn't walk a 5K today, but I did walk my dog in New Hampshire at a charity dog walk. So I've been walking a lot this weekend, and I'd like to sit down now. I was actually walking in front of the movie, trying to get some steps in, working on my Fitbit. That was me doing my TJ Miller, the steps, get my steps in. That's me doing my TJ Miller. As I already said, I'm repeating myself. I'm wasting your time. I'm wasting my time. If you're still at this point right now, I would love you to tweet at Geek Mentality. The magic word is cinnamon. It shows me that you're still listening. Just hashtag FNE movie month and the word cinnamon at Geek Mentality. That's where you can find me on Twitter. You can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/fans.experts. The website is fans.experts.com. And you can find fans.experts.com on Twitter, or fans.experts on Twitter at fans.experts, blah, 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 blah. Geek Mentality, fans.experts. We're on SoundCloud. FNE Movie Month is the SoundCloud place. If you just go to fans.experts, you'll find everything there. We're on Google Play Music. I don't know who gives a shit about that. And we're on Stitcher. I think people use that. That's really it. I hope you keep coming back. I totally understand if you don't, but we're 5 movies down and we got 25 to go. So pretty excited about where we're going tomorrow. Now, I take the train into Boston tomorrow. So I have a train ride into Boston and a train ride home from Boston. That's about almost 2 hours of train ride. And I have subway stuff too. So it's going to be a little over 2 hours of a commute where I can watch a movie. So what will I be watching tomorrow? What will I be watching tomorrow? I'm not entirely sure yet. I have an idea. I have a good idea. Is it a sequel? Sort of. I mean, it has characters that we've seen in many sequels. This time this guy's a little older, a little wiser, but it's not his movie. No, it's not his movie. You'll have to find out more about that. My God, I can barely talk. I have to tell you the truth. English is my first language, no matter what it sounds like right now. I'm very tired. If you want to find out what the movie is tomorrow, come back here, fansnotexperts.com, and of course on Twitter, hashtag FNE Movie Month to follow along and play along. You can play the home game at home, and I don't know what I'm talking about. Deadpool was great. You're gonna hear me say this movie was great. You're never gonna hear me really say a movie is garbage because I'm not reviewing movies. I'm picking movies that I want to see. I'm picking movies that I've heard are good, and I'm deciding to watch them. And then I just want to talk about them a little. So that's what I did here, and now I'm done. So good night. Hit the theme song.
This is my podcast, I made it. Geek Mentality's what I named it. And I think you should listen and subscribe. Cause I'm kinda funny and awesome. I think that I'm worth your time and I'm kinda handsome. My mom says, please listen and please subscribe. At least listen to this episode.
Fans not experts.